Hey guys, it's me in my room. Um, in this video, I'm gonna be ranking state capitals. Yay! Let's see, Alabama here, the first state alphabetically. Which, how this is gonna work is, I'm ranking them based off of how good I think they would be as the state capital. Like, if I had to choose what the state capital would be, how good would the actual, like, how good of a choice would the actual state capital be for me? Um, there are three or like two main things that I'll use to determine this. Like kind of three as well. First one is like one of the biggest cities. It doesn't have to be the biggest city, just like one of them. Like at least in the top 10. Hopefully in the top 5. The second thing is center of population, which just means like an average of where everyone lives. So like the center population, just like theoretically, it starts in the middle of the state, and depending on how big a city is, like how many people live there, it'll pull the center population that way. And if there's not many people living in an area, it won't really pull that way that much. So it's kind of just like it's closer. The center of population is closer to where people live. Kind of like in between all of them. Whatever. I think you get it. So anyway, the first wait, actually, I forgot the third thing, which isn't as important, but kind of like just a central position, like geographically in the middle of the state, which I guess is also pretty important. So first up, we have Alabama, which the capital of Alabama is Montgomery. And I have two maps here. This one is from 2024, so only last year, pretty recent. And this one is from 1988, which, yeah, I'm not really going to be basing any of my information off of this book, but it's nice to just have, like, a better picture of the entire state, with, like, not this break in the middle. Especially with California, where the north and half part, where the north and the south halves are on different pages entirely, like, like that. You'll see. Oh yeah, I forgot to say this is part 1. Yeah, I think actually I said that in the title. Anyway, yeah. Crap. I was gonna say one more thing. Hold on. I'm gonna. Okay, I had to pause to remember it, but it's I'm not gonna be saying how not like saying how big the cities are based on the actual population, which actually I think I should do, which I probably will, but it's gonna be kind of based on like because the city limits, the actual like city limits that show the population, they can be really like deceiving. I think Birmingham is only like the third biggest city, but it's obviously the biggest city if you include all this like urbanized area around it. So I'm going to be counting the metro area, like the size of the urban city, not the actual city limits, because those can be really small, like Atlanta. Anyway, okay, so Alabama, as I said, the capital is Montgomery, and the middle of the state is actually like around in the middle of these two, Birmingham and Montgomery. But the center of population is also between these two, but it actually is a little closer to Birmingham. So I would pick Birmingham as the capital, especially because it's so close to all these orange parts here. And Montgomery only like these two. So yeah, I would check, because this has the biggest metro area, as you can see here, all the orange stuff. So I would definitely choose Birmingham. If not, maybe like something in the middle, but not Montgomery. I'll give it like C tier. AL for Alabama. Next up is Alaska, which I gotta say, I don't like this one. I don't like it. The capital is Juneau. But why? Like, Anchorage is the obvious choice here. You know, maybe when they were making the state, Juneau was the biggest, like Olympia, Washington. But still, come on. Like, you can't like, come on, Anchorage is right there. But this is about how good I think it is of a capital. And since Anchorage today would be the obvious choice, since it's like almost 2/3 of, no, 1/3, it's almost like a third of the entire state's population. That's crazy. A whole city, like almost an entire third of the state's population. And Juneau is like so far this way. Anchorage is actually pretty central to the state. And the last thing, the center of population is right next to Anchorage in like this state park over here, kind of to the east. So Anchorage is just the obvious choice here. Obvious choice. So Alaska, sorry. G tier. Oh, I forgot to say, I don't like conventional tier lists. So I'm going A to G instead of S to F, because I don't like S tier. Like, what do you mean? S isn't the first letter of the alphabet. A is. A is the first letter of the alphabet, not S. I don't care if it means like super or superb or anything. Like, shut up. I'm sorry, that was mean. But still, okay. Next up is Arizona, which Phoenix, iconic. It's the biggest state, the biggest city in the state by far, and it has all this stuff around it. Only one that can compare a little bit is like Tucson. And the population center is just a bit away in Mesa. So, yeah, Phoenix is kind of the obvious choice here. And it is the capital, so Arizona gets A tier. AZ. A for Arizona. Next up, Arkansas. Which Little Rock is in like the middle of the state, even if it is like a little bit southeast of like the true kind of middle. Little Rock is the biggest city. Unless you count all of these ones as like one big city, which I really wouldn't, but it might compete. But I don't know, Little Rock is the biggest. And because of these ones in the Northwest, have been getting a lot of people in recent years. Population center has actually gone like more next to Morrilton. Yeah, that's what it's called. Near Conway. But like I still think Little Rock is a pretty solid choice. And there's stuff down over like here as well, like Pine Bluff. So I think Little Rock is the best choice for Arkansas. I'll give actually, yeah. R A for Arkansas. Arkansas. Next up is California. And look how I said north and south. So I'll be using this map to kind of show you which capital. Oh, wait. I forgot to flip. Wait, did I forget to flip? Whatever. Okay. Capital is Sacramento. Which Sacramento? It's the biggest city in the Central Valley. I mean, well, if you're going by city limits, then Fresno is technically bigger, but it doesn't include all this other stuff north of it. Sacramento is the biggest city by metro area in the Central Valley. So it is a pretty big city, but the Bay Area and, like, most importantly, Los Angeles area and, like, San Diego too, like, all of this stuff. Also Bakersfield, Fresno, like, all of the big population centers are, like, south of Sacramento. Yeah, all the, like, there's not really anything too big. Only a bit above, like, 100,000 people above here, like, I guess these three. Which, okay, here's a full map of California. Which, see Sacramento here. But actually, if we're to go with a city in the middle of the state, I would go with Fresno. But if you wanted one that is nearest the center of population, the center of population is actually right next to Bakersfield. So I think either Fresno or Bakersfield is a solid choice for a capital. But Sacramento, even though it is a pretty big city, it's just there are so many other big cities. Which, even if you include all these as, like, just Los Angeles, then that is still huge compared to Sacramento. So Sacramento is still a pretty big city, but it's, like, north of everything, and not, like, everything really big, and, like, not in the middle. So I'll give it, like, E, or, like, maybe D, E or D. Probably, like, D. Okay. Next up, we got, this thing is crazy. So many. Okay, here we go. Colorado. Which, the capital is Denver. Which, as for, like, the center of the state, it's close enough to, like, the middle of the state. And as for one of the biggest cities, it is the biggest city, so easy choice there. And the population center is right around here. Like, somewhere, I can't remember actually exactly where, but it's somewhere in, like, the immediate area of Denver. So I think Denver is a pretty obvious option. And since it is capital, it gets A tier. Next up, Connecticut. Okay, so this one, the capital is Hartford. And as you can probably tell by all of these cities down here, the center of population is actually here. We're next to Cheshire. And just off, like, metro area, I'm pretty sure Hartford is the biggest. And in, like, city limits too, probably the biggest. But it's like, there's all these other ones down here that aren't too far behind. And since the population center was here, I would choose maybe, like, Meridian. No, I mean, well, I think Hartford is still a pretty good option for, like, only being a bit, like, north, maybe a bit northeast for, like, the middle of the state. But Meridian, like, Waterbury and New Haven are also pretty close to the population center, but Hartford is a pretty good option. I'll give it, like, B tier. Next up is Delaware. Now, Delaware. Oh, this one... On this map, it's grouped with Maryland, so it's not actually where it's supposed to be. So I'll just... Actually, this one doesn't even have any like creases in the middle of the state, so I'll just use it. Which I have been kind of doing the whole time anyway. As you can see, the main place where people live is up here near like Wilmington and Newark, Newcastle. And the capital is Dover, or Delaware. But enough people live here in like Seaford and Georgetown and like all these beach communities that the population center is actually like in Smyrna? No, sorry. I probably said that wrong. Smyrna? I don't... Can someone tell me in the comments how to pronounce it, please? I'm sorry. So anyway, since Dover is like right next to the population center, and it's right in the middle of the state, and it is one of the biggest cities, just outside. I think it might be the second biggest, like, outside of like after Wilmington. So I'm gonna give it A tier because it is a pretty solid option. It's right next to the population center and it's in the middle. I think it's the second biggest city too. D E. Next up, Florida, which the capital is Tallahassee. And you might be able to see all of this stuff down here. Which Florida, the third most populous state, over 20 million people. And the capital is way up there, which, to be fair, all of these cities weren't really here when that capital was made, because it was just swamps. Like, most of this was just swamp. But then they drained it to make, you know, like Miami and like Orlando and stuff. Which I would choose Orlando. You know, it's pretty central among like big population centers. And the population center, like the actual center of population, is down here in Lake Wales, or like near Lake Wales, close to it. But since Orlando's pretty close, I would choose that. But like Tallahassee, all the way over there, like all this stuff. The only really like saving grace here is that the Panhandle has some pretty big cities too. You know, and it is kind of between like the east side of the state and the west side, kind of like in the middle. Going from like Jacksonville to Pensacola. So it is a bit better than the worst. There are some pretty big cities there. Well, big for like average state, like standards. This state has really big cities. Whatever. F for Florida. Oh yeah. Oh. Whatever. Yeah, and remember, F isn't the lowest tier. Again, it's G, which only Alaska's in, because Juneau. Oh my god, Juneau. And, okay, the last state that I will be covering today, Georgia. And the capital is Atlanta, which I think it's pretty obvious why. Oh. So, as for being in the middle of the state, I'd say like Macon and Warner Robins are in the middle. Which, actually, if Atlanta didn't exist, Macon would be a pretty good capital. Or if it was just like a normal city size like these other ones. But Atlanta does exist, and it's the capital. And actually, the center population is like kind of between Macon and Atlanta, but closer to Atlanta. I think I can't really find it here right now, but it is. You could kind of say it's in like the very far suburbs of Atlanta. So I think Atlanta is a pretty solid option here, and I will give it to them. Yeah. A for Atlanta. So anyway, that is part 1 of ranking state capitals. Here is the tier list. And I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.